Humbling ourselves, though, is not about humbling ourselves to realizing that each and every person on this earth is equal. Regardless of nationality, regardless of color, regardless of whatever, we're all equal. We're all created in God's image. But there's more to this pleasing of God through being humble. The humbleness also comes from listening when we need to listen, talking when we need to talk, understanding when we need to understand, standing up in that humbleness for God when we need to stand up for Him, and putting ourselves last. Not rush to be first. Not try to be in a hurry to try to get to the restaurant because you want to eat. You don't want to sit there in line for 30 minutes, an hour, 45, whatever it might be. A couple of years ago, I went to Bowling Green for Valentine's Day. Every restaurant I went to was a minimum of 2 hours. Minimum of 2 hours. And I fall into this same plate myself of where people were grumbling and bickering and why is it taking so long? Seeing people sitting in there, they're done with their food, thinking to themselves, come on, get out of here. Let everybody else eat. It doesn't matter. Take a little time to wait. Take a little time just to enjoy it. You're sitting there with the crowd. You're sitting there, if there's a 2-hour wait, more than likely you're in a crowd of people. And there's a bunch of people around you. Instead of sitting there, what we could sit there and do is sit there and just bicker and complain and getting tired of the wait. Why don't we just tap that person beside us on the shoulder? Hey, do you know Jesus? That's a new concept. Hey, do you know Jesus? For many years now, and I didn't even realize it till the other day, but for not just this generation, the generation before, the generation before that, there's been this whole thought process that our faith and our walk with Christ should be private. We shouldn't really have to talk about it that much. We come to church and that takes care of it. That's the second lie that it's ever told in church. Coming to church by itself makes you a Christian. No, sorry. Coming on Sunday mornings to church by itself does not get you into heaven. There's more to it than that. I used to think that way. I was wrong. The silence is the most deadly thing that can be thought of. The silence, to be silent about what Christ did for us, is basically like throwing Him away. To not speak of what God did, to not speak of Christ dying on that cross to save you from your sins. To not speak of the fact that He took lashings and beating, a crown of thorns. To not speak of that, it's like throwing Him away. It's literally taking Him like a piece of paper, ripping Him up and throwing Him in the trash. The number one problem with Christianity today I believe this with everything in my heart, is that silence. And that silence is not pleasing to God. You can't please God. You can't walk with God if you're silent about Him. To please God, to truly walk with Him and truly feel your salvation and understand your salvation, is to step out on that faith and realize that there's other people out there that need it. To step out when you hear that small little tiny voice saying, this person needs somebody. This person needs to hear about Jesus. We're all guilty of it, including myself. We're all guilty of it. I'm just not feeling it today. Just not really what I'm looking to do. Not really what's going on with me right now. I've got all this other stuff to do. I'm busy with work. I'm busy with this. I've got to run back home. I'm about out of gas. I've got to go get gas. If you ever hear that conscious voice telling you somebody needs to hear about Jesus, and it specifically points to some person, do not pass that up. In any way, shape, form, or fashion, do not pass that up. You go up to that person right then, and you start talking to them. You don't necessarily have to talk directly about Jesus right then and there. But as long as you talk to them, be nice to them, be kind to them, it could lead into it. But more than that, as long as you talk to them and be nice to them, you might be saving their life. That person that God is pointing out to you at that very point in time could be somebody that is down in the dumps, that is more depressed than you couldn't even think, that they're putting on a happy face, but yet they're sitting in the back of their mind, I just can't do this anymore. Why am I here? What's going on? Nobody loves me. But yet God has intervened right then and there in telling you, go talk to them. That person at that point in time needs to know that. Now, I'm not saying that every person that God points out is that, but what if it is that? What if it is? And the hardest thing about that sometimes is somebody that's your enemy. Oh, here we go into this. Love your enemies. Forgive your enemies. The people you like the least. The people I like the least. The people we all like the least. Those people we despise. We just can't deal with. God says to love them and forgive them. He says to step out of your holiness, your glorified self that we might all think we might be. Get down on your knees and pray about it. And then all of a sudden you find your enemy standing right there beside you and you go up to him and you love him. And not just say that you love him, but show that you love him. That's hard. That's extremely hard to do. Went on the Emmaus Walk a couple years ago. And there's this one part during that where you basically write something down and you just tell it with the group you're with, and pray about it and basically release it. Get rid of it out of your life. A couple of years ago when I went on the Emmaus Walk, there was some people I was extremely upset with. is holding me back. It's stopping me from being who I needed to be through Christ. I mean, it was tearing me up inside. I mean, it was just like every time I would think of them, it was just taking a piece of my heart and just ripping it off. Because they were my enemies. I had some major anger built up towards them. Major. But you know what? That day, we had like a little altar type thing there. That day, I had a group of people with me. And I prayed about that situation. I got back from the Emmaus walk within a week's time. I saw those people. And I talked to them. I started showing love to them. Why? Because that's what God tells us to do. I forgave them in my heart for what was going on. I forgave them for it. But it was a little bit of a tricky situation on that. And I knew if I walked right up to them and told them I forgive you, that might just cause even more problems. And just push everything even worse and cause us to be even more enemies. Sometimes the forgiveness you just got to find in your heart. And sometimes, whether they forgive you, you forgive them, whoever's fault it might be. When it comes right down to it, it doesn't matter whose fault it is. Because we are to love our enemies. When Jesus talks about that, he goes a little step further. He says, how easy is it? And how much do you gain by loving your family and your friends? It's easy to do that. But how much more will you gain if you love your enemies and treat them as yourselves? How much more do you gain when you start doing that? Because all of a sudden, when you start loving them and start showing that love for them, all of a sudden, boom. Anger. Sadness. Hatred. Everything just boom, 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 right out of your heart. And God goes in a little bit deeper.